What?
Okay, there's that abrupt end that we've enjoyed so much this week here on News Talk 1079. Good morning, East Idaho. And that voice you heard, because I already had his mic turned up.
Great.
Was Neal Larson.
What did I say?
You said, what? Because I was making fun of him for having a toothpick in his mouth. And then he held up a jar. He doesn't have just one toothpick. He's got 1,000 in a jar.
Yeah, but like 2 of these were $1.98 at Walmart. So I'm like, that's easier than those flossers you get. Okay. And it's probably better than the redneck 3x5 card I've been using. So,
sure, the 3x5 card is effective. That was my dad, Denny Mangum, was known to use a 3x5 card. So I've seen that my whole life. I've got this thing with toothpicks, though. Like
why?
The wood, just, ugh. It's the same thing. Like, you remember when they would give us those little ice cream cups when we were kids and they have the wooden spoon? I wouldn't eat those because the spoon would freak me out. It's like a texture thing in my mouth.
You're weird.
He says that as if we haven't worked together for 8 years.
Well, I like the toothpick, the wooden. These are bamboo, by the way. It said it on the package. I like it because they're not hard on your teeth. Like you're not like scraping it with something that might hurt your teeth. So
okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Look, the relationship.
Hi, Julie.
You can be this far away from me, and the relationship hasn't changed an ounce.
No, that's true. Nothing's changed.
Nothing's different. Okay, let's talk about Elon and Trump. You and I talked about it a little bit over the commercial break. For those who didn't listen to my very vast breakdown in the 7 o'clock hour, there was about a 5-hour period yesterday where Elon and Trump went back and forth. Elon digging up old tweets and retweeting them and poking at Trump poking back and saying that Elon had he didn't use the words lost his mind, but that was basically what he was saying back. And then Elon went nuclear and accused Trump of being on the Epstein list. Trump never responded to that. An hour after that X post, he came back with a whole bunch of accolades for his big, beautiful bill. They went back and forth a little bit, and then Elon seemed to calm down last night. He responded to a couple of tweets saying, yeah, we need to have a little bit cooler heads. Politico reported late last night that Trump and Elon would be talking today. That was coming from White House aides. But yet this morning, they're now saying they are not going to talk. So give our listeners your 2 cents on all of this, Neal Larson.
Okay, so a couple of things, and not correcting you because I think you were accurate in what the implication was. You said that Elon said Trump was on the Epstein list, but I think the tweet said he's in the Epstein files, which is a very, very important distinction here. That you can say something that is technically true, but the implication is not. And there are probably lots and lots and lots of names that are technically in the Epstein files, but that has nothing to do with going to an island and doing things that are horrifically bad with teenage girls. And I mean, so I think, not to split hairs, but I think the splitting hairs is probably important here. And I this really kind of is the clash of the titans. You have 2 of the most recognized people, powerful people, rich people on the face of the earth that are having this very, very public feud. And I don't know what to make of it. I'm in Canada, not paying close attention. So I just know the basics here of what you told me. I think it's possible that this was just but they both have these massive egos, and that can be a good thing. That's not a slam against them. But when you get into a situation like this, both of them think that they are superheroes, that they're the strongest force in the universe, and the other one will bow to them. And so I feel like we're kind of seeing that. My hunch and my hope is that the waters will calm in the next few days, and that they will see the political implications that are at stake if they continue the feud.
Okay, a couple of things here. I think your clarification is incredibly important. I had mentioned that on his broadcast last night, Chris Cuomo had said that he wondered if the reason that Trump didn't respond to the Epstein being in the Epstein files, if the reason he didn't respond to that was because he was potentially going to file suit against against Elon Musk. That's something that was floated out there. We had a couple of listeners send in texts thinking that might be how Elon saves his rear end in all of this, because it didn't say Epstein list. It said in the Epstein files. And Trump is probably in the Epstein files. There's a video. Clearly, Elon reposted the video yesterday of Trump standing next to Jeffrey Epstein. So he could be in the Epstein files, but not on the quote unquote Epstein list.
Well, there's a story I saw on that very reputable outlet, the Gateway Pundit, where somebody talked to Epstein's old attorney, and the attorney said Epstein told me a few days before he died that there was nothing damning against Donald Trump. He didn't have anything of Donald Trump doing anything wrong. Now, yeah, they probably crossed paths once in a while. But if there was dirt on Trump, and this attorney, it almost sounded like maybe he was a Democrat and he wanted the dirt on Trump to hurt him. Epstein probably would have told him, and so this attorney, I think he was close in Epstein's orbit, and he would know. So I think the fact that he's coming out and saying, "I asked, and Epstein himself told me there's nothing." That he has no dirt on Trump that could harm him. That I think that says quite a lot, and I think that's one piece of this that who knows what you can and can't believe, but I would be more likely to believe that just simply because of the proximity to Jeff Epstein.
Yeah, that tweet did go viral last night. I saw the one that you're talking about, and I'm going to reiterate what I said last hour, which is, if there was damning material between Epstein and Donald Trump, the Democrats would have used it in the last 4 years to tank the 2024 election. I do not think that there is anything at all that is going to be found out about Trump being a pedophile, abusing young women under the age of 18. Do not send me a text. So I think that we're in a free and clear place with that. And it just seemed like a really juvenile fight between two very powerful men.
Yeah. It seems really unnecessary. And what I'm also worried about, the truth is important here, but I think the political implications of this, we were poised up until a week or two or three ago to actually gain seats in the midterm. If Elon and Trump continue this feud, and quite frankly, if Elon is the sort of, he holds the cards here in a way. If he continues this feud with Donald Trump over the big beautiful bill, we very likely could lose the House. And I understand Elon and his libertarian approach when it comes to the budget. Yeah, we should have a balanced budget. But if you're not going to balance the budget anyway, if the political will does not exist in Washington to balance the budget, you might as well win. And you might as well win on other issues by electing Republicans. And so I understand Trump's approach to this, and he's probably saying, look, we got all we could when it comes to cutting the budget, when it comes to, from a fiscal standpoint. But now we can win on the economy. Now we can win on cutting taxes. Now we can win on this. And Elon Musk is going to put all of the eggs in the one basket. And I think it's a foolish approach. It has been an ongoing frustration for me when it comes to libertarians. They would rather burn the ships than get only half a loaf or 80% of a loaf.
I had no idea what word was coming out of your mouth there for just a brief moment.
Well, and you know what? With sketchy internet connections while I'm in Canada, maybe I shouldn't say things that could cut out at just the wrong moment.
Oh goodness. You reminded me when you were saying all of that, and you're going to have to remind me again because I do not remember the time frame. But in our most recent interview, when Congressman Simpson was in studio with us, he mentioned how long it's been since the budget's been balanced. It's been decades. I don't remember the exact amount. Do you remember the exact amount of years?
Oh, no, but it's long before you and I were born. I mean, it's been a
It's
very, very long time.
decades, yes. And so
Yeah.
this idea that we can repair all of that damage by altering the big beautiful bill just isn't, it's just not realistic.
No, and it is going to be an incremental approach. I think Elon's frustrated, as am I. He goes in saying we can cut, I think the initial amount was 2 trillion. Then they had to back it off to 1 trillion, and then in the end it was down to about 150 billion dollars. That's a rounding error. And somebody had mentioned that earlier. I think it was Senator John Kennedy said that we've reduced the ambitions of Doge because of the nature of Washington down to just comparatively a minuscule amount. That is frustrating. And I had the realization, in fact, I was talking with my friend who I'm helping to move, and that's the whole reason I went up to Alaska, that this was our window of opportunity. Doge was the chance to reduce significantly the size of government, to balance the budget, or to at least get closer. That window appears to be gone now with the passage of the big beautiful bill. And for me, that's frustrating because we won't ever get it done now. I doubt, Julie, in the hopefully 30 to 35 years that we have left on the earth, I don't think they're ever going to actually cut the size of government and balance the budget. This was our chance and we've blown it. And I'm sure that's frustrating to Elon Musk and to a lot of other people, but that doesn't mean you can't win in other areas.
This is what I say to people when they want to talk so much about government funding and numbers and everything. Is it absolutely important? 100%. And do we need to, limit the amount of fraud? You bet. But these are battles that are going to be ongoing that we're never going to get a complete win on, which is why you and I feel, pay far more attention to the cultural battles that we're engaged in 2025, because we can win on those. We have seen great wins on those. We've experienced a win that we never thought we would with the rollback of Roe v. Wade. We never thought that was going to happen. I interviewed Representative Barb Ehart earlier in the week. When she left that day, I said, you will never be able to outlive the ripple effect of the legislation that she put forward and that has now migrated to over 20 states across the nation. Those are the cultural battles that we can actually win. These money battles, they're going to go up and down and up and down, and we're going to get some fraud, and then they're going to find new ways to commit fraud. There's going to be another USAID developed somewhere down the road, and the only thing we can do is manage it. Manage it to the best of our abilities. This concept, the libertarian concept that we're going to get all the way to a solution, it just doesn't have viability.
No, it doesn't have viability. And I look at this, if somebody had come to me, earlier and given me a false choice and said, well, you can either have a balanced budget and a reduced size of government, or we can make the playing field fair for girls and women. We can win on the abortion issue. We can, get rid of DEI, all of the cultural traction that we've gained in the last couple of years. I would have taken what we've gotten long before I would have said we need to balance the budget. To me, when I think about the future for my kids and for my grandkids, I would much rather have a culture that is fixed and a financial situation that may not yet be, even though I hate the idea that we've saddled them with all of this debt. I think that if we can create a healthier culture for them, which I believe we are, that's what I would want to give for them if I was presented. And sadly, the false choice is sort of the real choice, but I am grateful for the wins that we do have. And I think that balancing the budget and reducing government is just going to be one of those pesky challenges into the future.
All right. As a point of clarification, we've had multiple people text in. The last balanced budget was in 2001. That was for a short period of time under Newt Gingrich as Speaker of the House. Previous to that, it was 1969. So we did have a little brief moment there where we were able to take care of it. Multiple people have texted that in. So just to give some clarification out there. And I that 1969, I remember that's what Congressman Simpson was mentioning to us when he was talking about it. So there might be some like nuance between the two ways that they were done. Okay, before I let you go, I wanted to chat with you about this Supreme Court decision that came down yesterday. A woman had filed a court case, a female, straight white female, had filed a court case. She had been trying for a promotion. She was denied that promotion and it was given to a lesbian. And then 2 more times she was demoted and put in her place on each of those 2 times was a gay man. She filed suit. It made it all the way to the Supreme Court. Once at the Supreme Court, it was a 9-0 decision yesterday that basically reverse racism can happen.
Yeah.
That a straight white female can experience, in this case, it wasn't racism. It was like a DEI hire over her qualifications. But they are saying, yes, you can go ahead and go forward with this. There were other federal courts tied to this, that had this really high bar to evaluate this reverse discrimination. So those federal courts oversee 20 states. 20 states will now have to change the way that they review these reverse discrimination cases.
Oh, I think this is good news. And the fact that it was 9-0 makes me think that this is part of let's go back to the last conversation about cultural battles. This is us winning a cultural battle. And I think that it's very clear it's discrimination. We say reverse discrimination because it's the pendulum on the other end. But make no mistake, it's just as much discriminatory to do it like this than it ever was. And I think sometimes we can get the impression when we say reverse discrimination, we soften it. No, it's just discrimination. It's disallowing someone a job, and at the root of that is their skin color or their sexual orientation. It doesn't matter if it's the reverse of something else or not. It's just discrimination. I'm not correcting you. I'm just saying that
they use the term reverse discrimination in the case. So that's the way it's being referred. But I love your definition much better.
Yeah, like I look at it and I'm like, no, that's equally discriminatory. And I feel like, Julie, how we've seen in the last little while, we've seen the corporations ditching DEI, and they didn't seem like they wanted to fight all that hard to keep it. Some have, but for the most part, corporate America said, okay, we're done with DEI. They seemed almost relieved that they don't have to be saddled with that obligation is still there. And I wonder if there's a similar thing going on with some of the lefty members of the Supreme Court. Yeah, they're liberal, but maybe trying to maintain that corner of our broken culture has been bothersome to them, because everybody with any common sense whatsoever knows that when you get passed up because of a DEI hire, that is discrimination, and that's hard to defend that. It's hard to make the case for that. And maybe they're just like, we don't want to go down with this ship. Everything's a ship this morning, burning the ships, going down with the ship. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like, okay, we've already lost this battle. I don't want to tie my legal reputation to defending this battle. And so I think maybe that's why we got the 9-0. But I will say a 9-0 is rarely ever reversed anytime in the future very soon. So I love that this happened. That's a great decision for America and for Americans who want to be hired on their merit.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Okay, I have one more thing I need to bring up with you. Guess what today is?
Oh no.
Guess what today is?
It's Friday.
No, it's not Friday. It's National Donut Day.
Shut up. I just had a Danish.
I know.
And I didn't choke to death. It's great.
Maybe you've broken the curse.
I have broken the curse. Well, I would say happy donut day, but for me, it's complicated. So
For those who don't remember, a couple of years ago, Neal and I realized on a Friday, because I think it's the first Friday of every June, we realized it's National Donut Day. So early in the morning, we ran and got donuts, brought them back. We filmed a quick little, what would be now called a reel. It was a video for Facebook, and Neal just about died on me in the conference room, choking on a donut.
Well, it all started. In fact, lots of bad things start with me trying to be funny. I look back in my life and like that's a common origin of bad things when I try to be funny. But it was basically Julie being very dainty, eating her donut with a little knife and a fork and a napkin.
That is how
having
I
a
eat
donut.
a donut. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, I had a donut in each hand, and I'm taking bites, alternating from one hand to the other. So we get done filming, but I have this mouthful of donut. Well, a couple of donuts, and I'm like, okay, do I spit it out because they're two different flavors, or should I just swallow it? And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to swallow it. It was too much donut for my throat, and it got lodged in there. And all hell broke loose in the conference room of Sandhill Media for just a few short minutes. But I lived. I survived.
It ended in a 911 call and Neal throwing up in the garbage can. That was the culmination of the whole event.
Yes. And Domingo, both you and Domingo are significantly shorter and smaller than me. So you all gave your level best, but it finally went down and I survived. So
yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got to let you go, but real quick, next Friday, so a week from today, you and I are going to have a celebration.
We are. We're hosting an open house because what's the date today? It's June 6th. In 2 days, is that right?
Yes,
June 8th. It's a Sunday, so we couldn't really celebrate this moment on the air. But it will mark 5 years since we launched News Talk 1079, right smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. And we wanted to thank our listeners. We wanted to recognize the moment and give some appreciation back. So we're going to have an open house and from 11 to 1. Is that right? We're doing 11 to 1.
11 to 1 would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. And there'll be refreshments and an opportunity to swing by and say hi, come into the studio. If you're willing, we may record your greeting to News Talk 1079, but put that on your calendar for your lunch hour a week from today.
Yeah, come enjoy some food with us and take a peek at our digs and where we make the sausage. Man, there's a lot of donut, sausage, food, cake conversation going on.
Yeah, something's happening. So
yeah, we would love to have you with us. All right, Neal, you have got a big day ahead of you. Please be safe.
I will. Can I just say, really, do you have to get going or do you have a minute?
No. Go ahead. I can restart the bumper music.
Oh, but you do have, you actually have studio covers, right? Studio 4 covers?
I do not. Mm-mm.
Oh, you don't? Okay. We got plenty of time then. So I looked yesterday at a big map, the amount of distance that I covered, and I was incredibly disappointed because I was driving. I started a little after 3. I ended late last night, and I think it was like 20 hours. It was 20 hours. And I've only made it like a little tiny chunk, and So yeah, maybe a fourth of the way. And I'm still in Yukon. It was still bright at 11:30 last night. That's how far north I am.
Yeah. You're going to do great. I put in a lot of hours today. You're very well rested. When we talked yesterday, you didn't look this chipper. You look much more rested
I was
today.
not this chipper.
Yes.
So I slept great last night. So
Good. Please be safe. You still aren't sure which way you're coming home just simply because of you're tracking those wildfires.
Well, the route I was planning on coming home, I just saw an electronic sign saying that road is now closed. And my other route down through Alberta has also been closed the last couple of days. So I've got a little research to do, and I joked with Julie that I may be coming home through Michigan. So we'll see.
You might not be back in studio till next Thursday.
I may not, but I did set up the morning on Monday and Tuesday for you to host it. So
yeah,
we're good for now, but I'm still aiming to be back by Sunday night. So
good deal. Like I said, be safe. And coming up next on News Talk 1079, we've got a bottom hour news break and Wall Street Now. I'm Julie Mason on News Talk 1079.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, it's Brad from Now 105.1 and QP99. I'm in the studio here. I love our studios, by the way. Ranger Rick back there. There's Neal and Julie doing their thing. Hey, when you want to advertise on the radio, what do? You call the radio station, right? But what do you do when you want to advertise on Facebook and Instagram and Hulu and Disney Plus and Peacock and the other TV streaming services? You can kind of click around on them and make guesses or read books or take courses online on how to do that advertising. Or you could call us at the radio station. At Sandhill Media, we take care of your local radio and digital marketing. So reach out to us at sandhillmediagroup.com and we'll make sure that your message gets heard and seen wherever your customers are.
Yep, I'm here. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. It's interesting because you can turn down the monitor a little bit, I think, and it probably won't feedback as bad. But I noticed all through Canada, I saw it's the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I saw maybe two of those guys. They do not enforce speed limits here, so I don't want to get a ticket because I'm an American. I'm not sure how that would work out, but I've been pushing the limit a little bit on the speed. Everything's in kilometers. So, and this speedometer does not have the kilometers on it. So I have to do a little math problem. So yeah. Yeah, I do use that. Yeah, I can, but sometimes I'll go to a different app like Audible or Amazon Music, and my map will close, and if I don't have service, I can't get it back open. So I got to figure that out. Anyway, so no Studio 4 cover. Did they bail out? Okay, I think we're done trying to schedule him. Should we just bag him? Because you can't really give. Yeah, 3 strikes. So, yep. Okay, all right. Well, have a good rest of the show. Have fun with Scarlet. I hope that turns out well. And and I will, like always, I'll message you when I have service. So, and you know, if you can see me moving, you know I have service. So that you probably already figured that out. But yep. No. Okay. All right. See ya.
And we're back for the 9 o'clock hour on the Neal Larson Show, except there is no Neal Larson here today. We did get to talk to him in the 8 o'clock hour. If you missed that, it will be in the podcast, and that's available at newstalk1079.com. But he had a very restful night's sleep. He is still in Canada. He hasn't made that much progress, but he did have a pretty seamless re-entry into Canada at the border, so that didn't go too bad. And he's doing really well this morning. He's very chipper and ready for about 16 to 17 hours of driving. But with Neal not being here, I have invited another guest in for the 9 o'clock hour. I'm joined by Scarlet Poulsen. A lot of people already know who Scarlet is, but as I asked one of our guests earlier this week to give me the Wikipedia version of himself, I'm going to ask you the same question, Scarlet.
Okay.
Tell all of the News Talk 1079 listeners who Scarlet Poulsen is.
Okay, Scarlet Poulsen is a woman, obviously.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay, I'm a woman. I have 3 kids. I was going to say 4 because sometimes I have to remember I have my husband.
Yeah. There's a lot of women out there agreeing with you on this.
You know, I love him so much. He just had shoulder replacement surgery. Total.
Oh, how's he doing?
He's doing really well. He's actually doing way better than I thought he was going to be doing. But that said, you know, it is a long recovery and it's a major surgery. So.
I've had clients who have had their shoulders done. I've had clients who've had a hip. Neal has had a hip replacement. I've had clients who've had knees. The shoulder seems to be far worse than the hip and the knee.
That is what we have been told. And I would say he just had it done not even 2 weeks ago. So we're kind of just in the real thick of,
You're still in it.
He's going to get his staples removed.
Today?
Not today, but on Monday next week. So,
Yeah.
so we're still in the thick of it. We really haven't. We do his shoulder exercises every 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's made huge progress. I'm like, aren't you ready to get him rock and roll? No, it's going to be a long recovery.
It's going to be a little slow.
Oh,
yeah.
100%. But I think it'll be worth it. Anybody who knows being in pain every day,
It's worth having the surgery and going through this tough part.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, tell us more about Scarlet.
Yeah, I've got 3 kids. Brett is my second husband. I am divorced, which is I don't take any pride in that. I don't promote it. Okay, I just want everybody to know
Where the kids came from and everything.
But we are so we're a very blessed blended family. I have to say that, and it wasn't always like that in the beginning. But I tell you what, if you just hang in there and stick close to your Bible, do what God says, I'm telling you, you will see the light. You will see the fruit. And we're starting to really see some good fruit. Yeah,
Great.
And I have wonderful children.
Do you have grandkids?
I do not have grandchildren, but Brett has 10, if you can believe that.
Fun. Oh, fun for you.
Yeah, you know what's really fun? We're doing a whole remodel in our house that we just built 5 years ago to kind of house and bring in this huge family that we have now. We can't even sit everybody at the same dinner table, so we're enlarging our dining room, and we're doing a couple of different things.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Well, you're in the right business.
Yeah.
Yeah, custom home building. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Well, we really were thinking about building again, but I tell you what, Brett dug his heels in, and he's like, "You're gonna pry my dead cold body out of this house. I'm not moving again." And I'm like, "What? You will move if I tell you to move." No, I'm kidding. Because we had our heart set on this new development lot that we really wanted it, and they weren't ready to develop in that area yet, and now they are. They're moving in there, and I'm like, "Oh, my lot. Are we going to go get it? Are we going to get it?" And he's like, "No. Do you really want to move?" And I said, "No,
Yeah.
not really."
Yeah, well, I know where you live. That house is gorgeous.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So I can see why he has a desire to just
We are
retrofit
lucky.
it a little bit.
Yeah, we're blessed. We're so blessed. Yeah, but it's just you get to a point like, how many more times can you move? Literally, we've moved quite a bit since we've been together. So we're done.
Putting down some roots. Okay, before I ask you about the housing market in East Idaho, quick reminder to everybody, you can send a question to Scarlet at 208-542-1079. That's the Stones Automotive Group call and text line. You do work in real estate a little bit,
Yes.
partnering with you and your husband's custom home business. Tell us what it's like in East Idaho right now for buying and selling a home.
Well, there's buyers out there, and there are houses on the market. We do have. It's still a seller's market, believe it or not. A lot of people don't believe me when I tell them that. It really, like, the numbers have to tip in a certain direction to really say, "Oh, this is a buyer's market." But I have to tell you, buyers, it is a good time to buy. I know interest is still up there. Sellers, let me tell you, you have to have your house pretty well ready to go. So if you're thinking about selling, like, and you know it needs paint, or like there's something, I mean, you are going to be competing against other houses on the market, because we have more, I would say, more houses on the market than we do like that. There's a lot of buyers, and I think there's plenty of buyers. The problem is they're not finding like they're willing to spend upwards of $425 for a house, but you got to have that thing. You're competing against other more top notch, where the paint's been done, the walls have been done. So they're expecting a lot more. You're having to, make a little more amends, sometimes by a seller or closing costs, Closing costs are getting paid again and things like that. But it is still relatively a seller's market. So I would just tell you, average days on market, you're looking at it probably still around 70. I think that's going down just a little bit because we're heading into these better months. And I haven't looked at market stats in the last month, so that might have changed a little bit, but average days were 70 on the market.
About 2 months.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
if you're selling your house, to expect that to be the average of time that it's on there.
And honestly, for me, that is more of a normal market. What we had back in 2020, 21 was not a normal market.
Right.
And it was great, but we don't have that influx of all those buyers. So we do have a little more on the market, but prices have held. I have to tell you, they've dropped a little bit, but they're still up like 1.5 to just under 2% year over is what I saw last that I looked. So we're still doing that, and I know people really want them to fall. I think if the number, like if that market really goes up with the more houses than buyers at the moment, or the push to sell, it's the demand that's really, because of interest being up and stuff like that. People are, they're going to get what they want to get, right?
I don't know if you'll be able to answer this question because it is a little off what you guys do with your business, but I think that a lot of people in East Idaho are shocked by all of these apartment complexes that are going up, and they ask the question, are they actually able to fill them? Are there people in all of these apartments? Do you have any kind of peek into that part of the market?
So I don't really do a lot in the multifamily rental. Those are rentals. Now I have helped people, that are, buy property that they're going to do, correct, that they want to do a multi family complex, and, you'll find them a property or something like that. But the actual rental part of it, I don't do that.
Yeah.
So I have to tell you, though, there is a lot going up. My understanding was, in the city of Idaho Falls especially, they kind of want, like, they're mimicking, I think, kind of what Boise does, where you want people to come in and really, like, it's like a transition or something. It's not a long-term stay, in my opinion, the way that we're marketing ourselves right now. But without getting into details, I think that's why you're seeing a lot of this is like transitional, come in, go out, like Boise, you get these, and they want everything accessible. They want quick, easy access to the city, to the jobs, to whatever. But long-term, it doesn't seem like a lot of those guys are going to stick around. We have quite a bit of multifamily.
Yeah, I think
up.
people are really seeing it. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I just go by like amount of cars in the parking lot.
Oh yeah,
and I drive past all of these hotels that are located near the radio studios, and they're always full. I'm coming when people are asleep, right? I'm showing up here at 5:30, 5:45. People are asleep. So the amount of cars in the hotel parking lots is an accurate reflection of what's going on. Yeah. They're always full. Like there's cars everywhere. So I do believe in my times that I've driven past the apartment complexes, you see a lot of cars as well. So it kind of feels like they're filling them up. I don't think they'd be building them if they weren't.
Yeah, because a lot of, I know there's some local, but the majority of what you're seeing are big conglomerates from like Utah and other areas around the country. And they looked at our market as a very viable market for that housing. And I think the city's, made it very easy for them friendly for them to come in here. So they're forecasting for quite a bit of an influx over here.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Tell us more about Scarlet. What hobbies? I know you're a fitness fanatic.
Well, I am. I still do my weightlifting, but I mostly do that because I really like to get out on my bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a cyclist, so
Good.
yeah, and I haven't really been that avid about it in the last 3 years because I've had a lot of other priorities that, children going to college, all of these things. You have to prioritize, right? So, and I had a back injury, which is, I'm like so blessed. I'm so blessed because I'm literally out of pain today. That's why you don't see me like, shifting and moving in my seat constantly.
It's gotten better. Good
Finally,
for you.
yeah, yeah. If you can just hold out, usually like when you have a bulging disc or something, that it goes. That's what the stats say within 7 years. But if you're in pretty good shape, between 2 and 5 years, you're looking at getting better and everything. And my SI joint was adjusted, so I didn't understand all of that when I went into this, but I have learned a lot. I'm back on my bike now. I still have a torn labrum, but I'm doing. I'm
Good for you.
yeah, I'm doing really well. And yeah, if I weren't into fitness, I'd probably be in jail. To be honest.
I hear this all the time that you can either pay for therapy or a gym membership. So which one do you want?
Thank you. Or a drug prescription. Like I'd be doing something. So
Yeah, good for you.
yeah. Exercise is a good form of stress relief, and believe me, that is really why people always ask me, how do you stay motivated? What is it? I'm like,
It's a better option.
honestly, I can go maybe 3-4 days, maybe even 5 to a week, depending on how hard I worked out prior, right? In the last month or whatever. And vacations are great, but if you ask me to sit in, like, do what I do every day and go for more than 2 to 3 days and not have an outlet, I have an anger issue.
Yeah, I love working out too, so I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I know you follow politics very closely. Are you supportive of RFK Jr.'s platform and the things that he's trying to do under Trump's leadership?
I haven't got into all of the details of what he's doing. I've heard, like what you probably hear on the news, and I'm not that obsessed where I follow every little thing. I was in Utah when he was actually there, dealing with the fluoride in the water there,
Yes.
and they've eliminated that. And I was actually there during that time. I think we do need to relook at things. I mean, it's been 25, 30 years since they've looked at, the food pyramid and all of that kind of stuff. 100% I'm on board with all. I think we need a complete rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If something happened, like that should be just a given that you want the best health for your children, the best food. And I remember, okay, I don't know if I should say this. Because I
Take the
love
risk.
everybody. I'm not cutting anybody down, but I remember school lunches, how they started out, like even from when I was a kid to where when my children were in grade school, which was, my oldest is now 20, she'll be 29 in July. And then my youngest is, she'll be 21 in August. So it hasn't been horribly too long, but probably, 15 years or more. I remember I could not believe the difference in the quality of lunches for our kids.
Yeah, yeah. It is so easy now to be looking at what is good for your kids. There's so many apps out there. My daughter uses an app and she scans every barcode so that she knows what to bring into her house and what not to bring into her house.
Oh, yeah.
There's these options available. And I have the feeling like come on, government, catch up. If private industry can make an app that tells you what's healthy for you and not healthy for you because it's got harmful chemicals in it, why are we not adjusting the government regulations for these items?
Right. And all the artificial stuff. Why is that even necessary?
Yeah.
And it's just a given. And then you have, if you have underprivileged kids or families that are struggling, I mean, you're going to buy the cheaper brand that's probably got the artificial stuff, because it's cheap.
Yeah.
And like, that bothers me. I got to tell you, that really, really bothers me.
I think that there is some truth to that in order to eat healthy, you've got to be willing to adjust your budget because it does typically cost more to eat healthier,
Right.
especially when you're getting high quality cuts of beef and everything like that, which are the proteins so good for you, but you are going to have to adjust the budget a little bit with all of that.
I think so. And I think that with some regulation, I think some of the stuff they put in our food is just absolutely unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, I have not been blessed enough to travel Europe yet. There are places in Europe that are on my list. I chatted with Bill from Wealth of Health on Monday. He was headed out to, I think it was Italy. It was where he was going.
Yeah, aren't they going on that bike ride?
Yes, yeah. And I had a daughter who spent 3 weeks in Europe a couple of summers ago. And she said she's never felt better. And you hear that repeatedly from people when they alter their diet. Just in that quick of a time, you start to feel the differences of not having those chemicals in your body. I agree. Totally time for us to re-look at everything that's going on here. All right, let's talk about breaking news for the day. In both hours, we have been covering this Trump-Musk feud. You and I were chatting about it a little bit in the commercial break. You had some interesting thoughts about Musk, so go ahead, tell everybody what you were thinking.
Well, I was just telling you, I actually came in on the very later part when you were talking to Neal. I think it was the donut choking section.
Oh, yeah. It's National Donut Day.
Yeah, and he mentioned a couple of tip-offs about Musk, and it got me thinking, well, I'm really actually shocked. I'm just one of those like, really? I mean, it was I love the whole Trump, Elon Musk thing. I thought it was really cool. And I'm disheartened. I hate seeing that. I guess that's the real world, and that's kind of the little girl in me that's like, oh, can't we all just get along? And,
Yeah.
But you got these two, I mean, they're both of them are powerful. I would say Trump is probably the most powerful. I mean, he's the president of the free world
he
here.
might not have the wealth, but he wields a power that Elon does not.
Right. But honestly, I can see Elon's, like, I feel like he feels like he's betrayed. And I'm not making justifications for him because I think what is going on is ridiculous. But I really wanted to like Musk. I'm still going to back Trump because he's our president. And I was really thinking about this last night because I started to go, well, maybe Trump is not, like, is he, maybe he's the problem, like, is he the guy that's the freaking problem here? Or like, am I not seeing something like, because we live in a world where you're like, this is the time of absolute confusion, if you want.
Oh, chaos.
One
all
word.
The time.
It's constant. And like you always question yourself and everybody's questioning everything. But I had this vision last night. I just went back to one moment. And I still believe this. Maybe not everybody believes this, but when that bullet went past his ear and missed his head, I still get chills. I'm like, I totally believe that, I'm not saying, like he's a perfect guy, but I believe he was chosen for these times, or saved. I believe that I align with him. I align with his values, even though I don't think he's a perfect guy. I don't think Musk is either. I do feel there's something off about Musk. That's just my feeling, my intuition, because, women, I'm a woman.
Yes.
I just got this and I love that. I really want to love him. I really want to like him, but there's something off right now.
I think there's something that's very clear about both Trump and Musk. And I think that one, meaning Musk, has a much higher level of this, but I think it's true for both of them. I believe there's a honeymoon period for both of them. And I don't think that you can work for Trump for a long, extended amount of time. I think the honeymoon period wears out. I don't think that the honeymoon period with Musk lasts very long. He's got 13 children. Right. Like, there's a whole bunch of different women in his past. And I think that's because there's some shine and there's some brightness, but it wears off pretty quickly. And with his personality and his skill set, that doesn't lend well for long-term relationships. Right. Doesn't mean he's a bad guy. It's just what you're working with. All of us are different. Right. And I think that honeymoon period is very short with Musk. Then you go ahead and you put Musk together with Trump, who has also not as short of a honeymoon period, but there is going to be an end to the demands that you allow Trump to make of you as an employee. I think you shove those two things together and you've got two men who are usually making all of the decisions, and we kind of had a small nuclear moment yesterday between them because of that.
It almost felt like a daddy-son kind of blow up.
Yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah.
And I can actually, I see, this is where my heart goes, okay, I really think that he was kind of a father figure to Elon. I'm a little psych kind of girl.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion and what I can kind of put together, because I'm a very loyal person. I'm really loyal. And like and I don't have very many friends, but when I bang up with somebody and we're going to be friends, which is very rare, I'm kind of like that too. Because I'm a wife too, you have to pick and choose, and
Where
like
you spend your time.
yeah, and these guys are like business guys. Trump's running the country, so he has a lot more to put as a priority. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So relationships, probably other than his wife, his children. I mean, you have to prioritize. So I just felt like that to me was like a trauma reaction or something, maybe a father-son kind of. Because honestly, I could see how you could buddy up with Trump and like he makes you feel really good. That's the thing that he's so, because you want his approval. It's almost like that father figure. And he's at that age and he's at that point
Or
in
grandfather, or
his
yes.
life. 100%. Yeah. And he's like that senior that you look up to, right? And that can, he can really give you that confidence in yourself that you don't have because he's such a senior, like a patriarch like that. And I have a lot of respect for that. I really do. I like it. But I think that Elon, that father-son, never die relationship, always have your back. I think that's what he kind of
and why he responded that. Which,
Yeah.
I received multiple texts as we went through this Musk-Trump fight that happened yesterday. I received multiple texts. Nobody went that direction, but I think that has some validity to it. I think that's a really interesting angle because I'll add on to it here. Musk was the first to back down. He backed down last night. He answered a couple of X posts that were made and said, yeah, we probably should quit fighting. He did agree late last night to meeting with Trump today. It looks like that might be off. Maybe it's back on. I mean, it's minute by minute.
Yeah.
So we'll know later in the day. But, with that father-son dynamic that you mentioned going on, with Musk bending first in the whole entire fight and with Trump not taking the bait on the Epstein tweet,
Right.
maybe that there is a little bit of that dynamic in the relationship there.
Yeah, that was really heavy. Like that's what really told me, oh, he feels totally betrayed or something,
Yeah.
for a moment. I think he will come back into his own head, I hope. Not that I'm totally blaming either one. I'm not really taking it. But like I said, I'm going to I'm still not going to be.
Yeah.
I'm not going to run with that. I'm just not.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like I have a lot of respect for what Musk did. But did he do it for the right intentions? I mean, a lot of people are like, well, I think he was a rat in the White House. And I was like, I think his intentions were good in the beginning, and stuff happens in relationship, especially with. I don't think he was prepared for the White House. I don't know about you, but I can't even imagine the rat race that goes on there.
Oh, the fury at which things have been done under the Trump administration. I have visions of them running from meeting to meeting. We have not seen this kind of transparency where the entire cabinet is showing up multiple times to have massive meetings with Trump that don't last 10 minutes. They last 2 hours.
Right.
That is a work level that I don't think most people in Washington have been used to, including those who served in Trump's first administration.
Oh, yeah. I think it's it's totally a different ballgame now.
Yeah.
It's because he only has the 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's like on speed dial.
Hyper speed.
Oh,
yeah.
my
It is
gosh.
just moving at such a quick pace.
Well, and Elon was sleeping on the floor in the White House,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that, you build up this expectation for something, and then I think that we can lose ourselves in emotion, and that's why I think it will get back on. Either that, or this is my other vision. Want to know what else I saw?
Sure. Yeah.
A third party. I don't even know why, but I really believe there is there's an environment for a third party in this country.
Oh, we've totally floated that idea here before, just simply because the Democrats are floundering so much right now that if there is going to be fertile ground for it, and it's going to have to be very fertile for it to happen, but if there is going to be fertile ground for it, this has been the most fertile it's been.
Oh, yes. I'm telling you, it's inching up. And I think Elon, I think he did want to get into politics. I think he's going to at some point.
Yeah, he's got a lot of years left.
Right.
I mean, we've got somebody like Trump serving at, late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of time that that Elon could move up and do that.
Well, did you see his stock fell? And I
Yes.
own Tesla.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh gosh, what do I do?
I also did see Kevin O'Leary respond to that. So what Scarlett is mentioning is I think his stock fell, I don't even remember, 10 points yesterday. I can't remember the total amount.
It fell pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was.
But
this morning.
Kevin O'Leary addressed this on Fox last night, and what he said is, if you own stock in Tesla, you're used to this roller coaster ride. If Elon is going to lead this company, it's gonna go up and down.
Yeah.
So it'll go back. Just relax.
Oh,
It'll
I'm
get
hanging
there.
on to it. I'm not
Yeah.
giving up yet. He's too smart, and he's got a lot to do still.
Yeah. All right. We've got to get to a commercial break. If you have questions or would like to join the conversation, just send those in to 208-542-1079, and we'll be back on News Talk 1079. And we're back on News Talk 1079. Because of our conversation in the last segment about better food choices, I want to take a minute and talk about gpprimemeats.com. I always give the website first and not the business name because I just want you to go there. I want you to go to gpprimemeats.com. They have such a fantastic selection of for Grand Peaks prime meats, all of the pork, all of the beef, everything you need. I had Paul Hackey in studio yesterday. He said his favorite from there is the prime rib. He said it was fantastic. So if you've got a party coming up, make sure you get a hold of them at Grand Peaks. Again, that's gpprimemeats.com. Or if you're just hosting a backyard barbecue, they have that amazing barbecue package that you can purchase there. They're great friends of ours. They should be great friends of yours. They will gladly help you. If you don't see what you wanted on the packages or anything, just give them a call. They do custom orders, so they'll be able to help you. Again, that's gpprimemeats.com, gpprimemeats.com. All right, Scarlett, we did get a text from somebody asking this question. Who does Scarlett see buying homes? Is it out-of-state buyers or is it in-state buyers?
So I would say it's in-state more than it is out-of-state that I'm having personally.
Mm-hmm.
I still sell to out-of-state. Because I have lots and stuff and they want to do builds and stuff. But to the degree that the numbers have shifted since 21 for sure.
I think through COVID, we got so used to so many out-of-state buyers that we now think that's the only people that are coming here. But
Right.
you're seeing, at least from your point of view, it has slowed a little bit.
Oh, yes. With out-of-state, absolutely. They're still coming in. And I think Ada County, you might have a little bit different. But even in Ada County, I just went to their parade of homes over there. And they're still building some of their very high end, of course, is probably going to be out-of-staters, coming in there and building massive houses and stuff with their money that they made off their other sale. And that's still going on, but not to the degree that it was before. So I would say it's way more normal. We are still, though, for house prices, higher. We're like 12th in the nation right now.
And that is so opposite of anybody who was buying a house a decade ago.
Right.
Idaho was one of those great places where you could live, be safe, get some good culture, and not pay massive amounts of money for a house.
Right.
And man, that is crazy. 12th in the nation.
Yeah, and our average household income is $78,000. So you can do the math on that. That's why people are still buying houses. So I'm not gonna really boo-hoo on the market, that way. But it's taking longer. Obviously, there's more on the market. They sit longer, but it's still, for me, that's a more normal pace. But I do think, people have always said, well, why don't the prices, come down to, sell more? They just really don't have to. We're still in that little bit of a bubble where it just hasn't shifted.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, when you're looking at places like, Colorado used to be such an amazing place to move to. The state's falling apart.
Yeah.
And East Idaho is just not seeing that kind of degradation, that erosion of culture. And if you want to raise kids, you've got good schools and great neighbors and clean streets. And we also are sadly one of the last states in the nation to outlaw marijuana use.
Yep.
And so, which is a whole debate all on its own. But and I always say I could argue that that debate both sides. I really could. I could argue for it and I could argue against it.
Yeah.
But I would say this always whenever we talk marijuana legalization is that you do see a change in your cities. You do see a change in your culture once you legalize marijuana.
100%. I could get really, I could talk about that too.
Yeah.
If you want to open that can. I know. I actually think, doctors should prescribe it for people. Like if you really need it, I'm cool with that. But I can tell you, no, I would not want legalized marijuana. I'm from California. So
yeah, you've seen it then.
Well, yeah, I've seen a lot. And because I was raised, I spent the majority of my life in California before I raised my kids here in Idaho. And I kind of scoffed at Idaho because it was, so podunk and, honestly, I had to come out of some of my big city crap, and now I'm like, I would never go back. I mean, you don't really understand because that's all you know. Mm-hmm. That's all you, and you get kind of washed wherever you acclimate. I'm one of those people, I adjust. And sometimes in a bad way. I mean, I just don't think you realize you're adjusting sometimes. Like you think it's just culture or whatever. No, there's certain things that are groundings for me. I would say, please don't let our kids do drugs. No.
Yeah.
And I know people will argue that is a drug or that isn't a drug, that it's more a medicinal or that it's just it's just an herb. Like you can go to the health food store and buy herbs. I'm like, no, it's really not. It's totally different. And I've never done marijuana. I mean, I don't really know the effects of it. I've seen it. I know people that have. You've witnessed it, right? And you see these kids. And when I was in high school, weed was the thing. But you always saw a problem. I witnessed not witnessed when it happened, but I had several people that were, once you do the alcohol, you go to some other drug, right? You're just in that realm. And then there was a lot of suicide. Mm-hmm. You lose yourself. You lose your drive, your natural capabilities. I think you numb out and drum out. I've seen that.
Yeah.
But I'm not against medical. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to clear that up.
Well, and if we were to follow that pattern, that's what Utah has chosen to do. They've done the legalization of medical marijuana, but not the legalization of recreational marijuana. Mm-hmm. And we do tend to follow. We're a couple years behind Utah. So I do obviously talk to a lot of law enforcement and a lot of politicians. Mm-hmm. I will tell you currently in Idaho, both camps are saying absolutely no.
Really? Okay.
Yes, yeah. So and their worry about bringing in medical marijuana is that it's just that stepping stone to the legalization of recreational marijuana. But like I said, starting this conversation, I could actually argue it the other way too. I have seen, in a previous job, I had a good friend who had a child with a seizure disorder. Child would be having multiple seizures a day. Mm-hmm. Finally, the two parents decided to split and live in different areas. The mother moved with the child to a place where she could get legalized marijuana, and the seizures cut down to 1 or 2 a day. Wow. So I absolutely, and that was a personal experience that I was witnessing happening. Right. So I absolutely could argue it either way, but I would say every law enforcement I've ever talked to does not want the legalization of marijuana just because they're already struggling handling domestic violence disputes. We have too many of them. We've got, the last time we interviewed Chief Johnson here from the Idaho Falls Police Department, he said he had some people retire from California, some officers retire from California and take jobs in East Idaho. They were like, yeah, I'll retire in Idaho. I'll live a little bit better, but I'll still work. I'll join the police department and work. He's had officers from California who never experienced a police shooting. And we know what has happened here in East Idaho. They have experienced police shootings. So to think that there's less violence, it's just not a reality anymore. And the law enforcement absolutely doesn't want to increase that possibility of more violence.
Right. I would agree with that. It's hard for me to go, let's legalize marijuana. I don't think it's good.
Yeah.
Like, in what age are you talking?
Well, and I know having kids who were, my youngest is 25, your youngest is 21, my youngest is 25. I remember asking her once, she was probably 18, just about to turn 19. And we had done an interview about marijuana. And I asked her, how easy would it be for you to get marijuana? Okay, this was the girl. She was the captain of the cheer squad. Like, she's not doing any drugs. She's not drinking alcohol.
Right.
Like, there's not. I said, how easy would it be for you to get marijuana? And she sat there for a second. She said, I could probably have it by afternoon time.
Oh.
Because there's
wow.
just that availability, even with it not being legalized here. And that was, I mean, she's 25 now.
Yeah.
She was probably 18 then.
Right.
So, yeah, it is still out there.
I was in 4th grade in California when I got my first offer to buy drugs.
Wow.
Yeah. It
Wow.
still shocks me. I still don't believe it. I was like, was he really asking me what I think he was asking me? Yeah.
4th
Now that
grade.
I'm older, I look back and go, wow, you were so stupid.
Yeah.
But, I had real, my mother really, I mean, she drilled into us, safety, no drugs. I mean, so, and just instinctually, I knew, that
I shouldn't be
something's
doing that.
bad. Well,
Yeah.
well, he just asked me if I wanted to buy, hey, you want to buy? I was like, I was just a 4th grade. I mean, I still get shocked by that. So I can't imagine what we're headed toward now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be much worse. All right, let's take a quick break here on News Talk 1079. We got bottom hour news coming up next. And we're back on News Talk 1079. Okay, Scarlet Poulsen is my guest in studio today, and she and I have been talking, and we've talked way too much. We've been very much like Neal and I are when we're doing radio. But so we're going to have to turn right around and take a commercial break. But I wanted to remind everybody today is the 81st anniversary of D-Day. It took place back on June 6th, 1944. We lost thousands of soldiers that day, but that victory on D-Day paved the way for the end of the war in Europe. And so we should be incredibly grateful for the work that was done on that day. So if you know a veteran, make sure you tell them thank you today for all that they have done to keep America safe. Okay, we got to take another quick commercial break on News Talk 1079. All right, we're back on News Talk 1079. We have 1 minute left. I just wanted to give a big thank you to Scarlet Poulsen for joining me today. She's done radio before, but it was several years ago. How was it? Did you survive?
Oh, you're awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's always fun. I mean, I just felt like I was talking to a girlfriend. So
Yeah. When
Thank
we
you.
were getting ready before we opened the 9 o'clock hour, I said, just act like you're sitting down and having lunch with me. And that makes the best radio. It's just how it works.
I love that. The only thing missing, I will tell you, Julie, is coffee.
Yeah. Well, we do have other radio personalities who make coffee. So the next time you join me, I will make sure you have some.
I'm totally kidding you, but yeah, I'm a coffee freak in the morning.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's needed. It's needed sometimes. All right. Well, get out there, enjoy the weather today and over the weekend. It's going to be beautiful. And with fingers crossed, we hope that Neal Larson makes the trek back from Alaska safely, and he will be with us on Monday on News Talk 1079.